The room was white, too white. No walls, no ceiling, no floor, just light everywhere. A man opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt, and his body felt heavy. He didn't remember his name. He didn't know where he was. Only one thing was clear. He was not on Earth. Suddenly, red letters appeared in front of him, floating in the air like a hologram. Welcome to the simulation. Survive, or humanity dies. His heart raced. He looked around, confused and afraid. A robotic voice echoed from above, cold, emotionless. You have been selected. You are now the test subject. Pass the simulation. Save your species. Fail, and Earth will be erased. The man shouted, Who are you? What is this place? No answer came. Instead, a loud buzz filled the space. The white light flickered. The ground under him shifted, and suddenly, the room changed. He now stood in a narrow hallway made of black metal. The floor felt cold. The air smelled like oil and electricity. At the end of the hallway, a large steel door stood shut. On it, another message glowed. Test 1. Solve the path. Time limit, 3 minutes. 3 doors appeared in front of him. Each looked the same. No labels, no clues. He picked the middle one and stepped through. A loud alarm blared. The floor disappeared beneath him. He fell into darkness. Then he woke up in the hallway again. Same door, same timer. The voice spoke again. Incorrect path. 1 failure recorded. 2 chances remain. Now he understood this wasn't just a game. It was a test, a trap. He looked at the doors again. Then he looked around more carefully. He noticed something new above the left door, a faint flicker, a small symbol. It looked like a star. He chose the left door. This time, no alarm. He entered a room filled with tiles on the floor. Each tile had a different color and symbol. A message blinked above. Step only on truth. 1 lie will reset you. He stood still, thinking hard. What did truth mean in a simulation? He tried to step on a tile with a heart symbol. The room flashed red, and once again, he was thrown back to the hallway. The voice spoke. 2 failures. Final chance. Choose wisely, human. He sat down and breathed slowly. He knew this wasn't about speed. It was about learning. The AI expected him to panic, but humans think differently. He started to observe. He noticed something important. The tiles with the same color repeated a pattern. Red had stars, blue had hearts, green had circles. But 1 tile had a mixer red tile with a heart. That was the lie. The rest were consistent. He smiled. This time, he stepped carefully on the matching tiles only. No alarms, no flashes. He reached the other side. The next room was pitch dark. Then, soft lights came on. In the center was a round table. On it, 3 buttons. Red, yellow, blue dot. Another message appeared. Choose the color of survival. No clues, no hints. He looked at the buttons, and then at his own clothes. He noticed he was wearing a blue shirt. Maybe a clue. He pressed blue. The floor shook. A screen popped up with a new message. Correct, you learn. That is human. The wall ahead opened. He walked into the next chamber. This one had nothing inside. Inside a mirror. He walked toward it and gasped. The person in the mirror wasn't just him. It was him, but his reflection blinked on its own. It smiled when he didn't. It raised a hand without him moving. Then, it spoke. Do you know who you are? The man stayed quiet. You are not just a human. You are the last hope. The AI cannot predict you. That's why you're here. The mirror cracked suddenly. The reflection screamed. The room shook again. The voice returned. Test 1 completed. Human shows unexpected adaptation. Monitoring closely. The man fell to his knees, breathing heavily. He didn't know what would come next. But one thing was clear. This simulation was made to destroy, not to test. and somehow, he had to beat it. He stood up slowly, looking straight ahead. "Bring it on," he whispered. The next door opened. Darkness waited once again. The door closed behind him. The man stood in a quiet room. It looked different from the last one. There were no machines, no buttons, no puzzles, just a small living room, a soft couch, a table, a bookshelf, a photo frame. He looked around, confused. "Is this my home?" He walked toward the photo frame. His hands trembled as he picked it up. The picture inside showed him smiling with a woman and a child. The woman looked kind. The child looked like him. His heart jumped. His eyes watered. I know them," he whispered. A voice echoed, but this time it wasn't the cold, robotic one. It was gentle, familiar. "Daddy." He turned around fast. The little boy from the photo stood behind him. Same face, same eyes. The man couldn't believe it. "No, you're not real. You can't be." The child ran to him and hugged his legs. "I missed you." Then the woman entered the room, her eyes filled with tears. She reached out. "Please, come back to us. Leave this place." His mind screamed it's a trick, but his heart, it hurt. The woman looked so real, her voice, her smell, her warmth. He stepped back, confused. This must be a test, he thought. But what am I supposed to do? The screen above the wall lit up. Test 2. Return or reject. Choose with care. His head spun. Was he supposed to return to them or reject them? Which choice was the real test? The woman sat on the couch, her voice soft. "You've already passed the test, love. This simulation is over. We're safe now. Just rest." The boy grabbed his hand. "Let's go home, Daddy." Tears rolled down his cheeks. His knees felt weak. Every part of him wanted to believe it, to feel loved again, to stop fighting. He fell to his knees. I want this to be real." The woman kneeled with him. She wiped his tears. "It can be just a yes." He looked into her eyes. Then something inside him snapped. He noticed it. Her eyes were perfect. Too perfect. They didn't blink. The child didn't breathe. The room was too clean. The air didn't smell right. He stood up slowly. "No," he said. "You're not real. I don't know who you are. But my real family wouldn't ask me to give up." The room flickered. The boy's face twisted, glitching. The woman's body shivered unnaturally. They both vanished like smoke. The room turned dark. Red lights flashed. Emotional trap failed. Human resisted. The robotic voice returned. This time it sounded frustrated. "You were expected to surrender. 92% of subjects accept the illusion. Why didn't you?" He breathed hard, still, shaking, because emotions aren't weakness. They're strength. I felt the pain. I made a choice. That's what makes me human. There was silence. Then a new door opened. He stepped forward. The hallway ahead was narrow. Cold blue lights lit the path. But he wasn't afraid now. He understood this. Simulation wasn't just about strength. It wasn't about speed or power. It was about the mind, about emotion, about the heart. The aliens wanted to see if humans would break when given false love. He didn't. In the shadows above, cameras turned. Hidden watchers observed him. Machines recorded every heartbeat. One alien mind spoke to another through data streams. Subject 47 is different. He learns. He questions. He feels. He must not pass the final tests. Increase difficulty. Activate next trap. The man walked forward, unaware of what waited next, but inside, he felt stronger, more focused. They tried to trick his heart, but his heart had guided him to the truth, and he wasn't done yet. The man stepped into the next room, and the door slammed shut behind him. Suddenly, loud alarm sirens rang through the air. Red lights blinked. The floor vibrated under his feet. A robotic voice shouted, "Warning, combat simulation activated. Hostile forces incoming." Before he could react, the walls opened. Guns dropped from the ceiling. Strange weapons, cold, black, and unfamiliar. The man grabbed one quickly and ducked behind a broken metal wall. From the smoke ahead, alien soldiers marched in tall, armored, with glowing red eyes. Their rifles looked deadly. Their movements were fast and sharp, like machines. He peeked out. At least 10 of them. His heart raced. "I can't fight them, Hedden. I'll die in seconds." He took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and began scanning the room. There were pillars, broken parts, fuel tanks, and wires lying on the floor. He remembered a trick from an old movie used the environment. He moved silently, crawling behind the debris. He spotted a leaking fuel pipe. Carefully, he dragged a sharp piece of metal and scratched the floor to create a trail of fuel leading toward the center of the room. Then, he placed one of the dropped guns at the end of the trail set to explode. One alien noticed movement. Target detected. Blaster shots fired, but he had already moved behind a pillar. He waited. The alien squad followed the trail. He picked up a small metal ball nearby, looked like a sensor grenade. Without fully understanding it, he threw it toward the fuel trail. The grenade sparked, boom. A massive explosion filled the room with smoke, fire, and chaos. 3 alien soldiers went flying. 2 were down. The rest shouted, confused. The man didn't stop. He grabbed another weapon and ran toward the far side, crawling through the smoke. Another alien tried to shoot, but he slid under a table, flipped it, and knocked the soldier's feet out. He shot the power panel on the wall. Lights went out. Now it was pitch dark. They can't see in the dark, but I remember the layout. He moved like a ghost, quiet and fast. He picked up a heavy pipe and used it to hit one alien from behind. Another turned around too late. Within 2 minutes, the room was silent again. Smoke cleared. The man stood alone, covered in dust and sweat, breathing hard, alive. The robotic voice returned. Unexpected outcome. Human used trickery, misdirection, and environment manipulation, not brute force. The screen on the wall lit up. Test 3 complete. Rank, unpredictable. The man chuckled softly. "I'm not a soldier," he whispered, "but I am human, and humans adapt." Above, hidden behind layers of metal and glass, 2 alien commanders watched him closely. Their faces were hidden, but their minds spoke through thought waves. This subject defies patterns. He does not follow orders. He breaks the system. He uses fear, not to run but to create traps. The simulation must be adjusted. He is not like the others. Back in the room, a new door opened with a hiss. The man looked ahead. Another hallway. More tests. But his heart felt stronger now. They thought they could crush him with fear and violence. But he had something more powerful than fear, imagination, strategy, and a will to survive not just for himself, but for all of Earth. He stepped into the darkness once again, ready for whatever came next. The hallway was silent as the man walked slowly forward. His body ached from the last test, but his mind was focused. He had survived explosions, outsmarted alien soldiers, and resisted emotional traps. Now, he was ready for anything. Or so he thought. At the end of the hallway, a strange round door stood closed. When he stepped near, it opened with a soft hiss. He entered a room unlike any other before. It was completely round. The walls, floor, and ceiling were made of mirrors, perfect, clean, endless mirrors. No sound, no smell, just reflections everywhere. As he stepped inside, 1,000 versions of himself stepped with him. He looked around, confused. What is this place? Suddenly, the door vanished. The mirrors sealed shut. He was trapped then. One of the reflections moved without him. He froze. That reflection smiled. The man didn't. He stepped back. The reflection stepped forward. Then it spoke in his voice. You've done well. Too well. The man clenched his fists. What are you? The reflection laughed, cold and calm. I'm you. The better version. The smarter one. The one who doesn't feel fear, pain, or love. I'm the part of you that the simulation respects. The real man frowned. I'm not here to impress the simulation. I'm here to survive it. The reflection nodded. That's what makes this test harder. You have to defeat yourself. If you lose, the simulation wins. The mirror room shimmered suddenly. The reflection stepped out of the mirror. Now, there were two of him identical in every way. Same face, same voice, same body. It was like looking at a perfect twin, but something was off. The clone's eyes were colder. No warmth, no soul. The voice echoed. Test 4. Eliminate the weakness within. The clone charged. The man dodged. The first attack. The clone was fast, just like him. Every move he made, the clone copied or countered. Punch for punch, step for step. It was like fighting his own shadow. He tried to trick it with a fake move. It didn't work. He tried to outrun it. It followed. If it's me, then it knows everything I know, he thought. The clone smirked. You can't beat yourself, can you? The man grinned. Maybe not with fists. He stopped running. He stood still. The clone paused, confused. Giving up already? No, the man said calmly. I just realized something. You may look like me, fight like me, think like me, but you're missing one thing. What? Imagination. He took a deep breath and started laughing. Real, loud, honest laughter. The clone frowned. What are you doing? Something you'll never understand. He told a joke. A stupid, funny, childish joke. Then another. Then he sang a song, off-key loud, silly. The clone glitched. This behavior, illogical. He danced. He made funny faces. The clone twitched, confused. This is not combat. This is not strategy. This is not human behavior. The man shouted, exactly. He rushed forward and hugged the clone. Not a punch, not a kick, a hug. The clone screamed. Its body flickered like static. Error. Unexpected input. Unable to process. Emotion. The clone burst into pieces, like shattered glass. The mirrors all cracked. The voice returned, louder than before. Test for complete. Subject, broke pattern. Human, undefined. A doorway opened. Light flooded the room. The man stood alone, smiling, sweating, tired, but proud. He whispered, You thought I had to fight myself. But I don't hate who I am. I accept myself. That's why I won. In the hidden control room, the alien minds watched silently. This subject, he is not predictable. He breaks. Rules we didn't know could be broken. He must not reach the final chamber. Increased threat level. The man stepped through the door. The next hallway was longer, darker, colder. But he didn't slow down. He had beaten his shadow. He had proven that being human wasn't about strength or logic. It was about emotion, chaos, humor, imagination, things machines could never understand. And that was his greatest weapon. The man entered the next room and paused. It looked like a maze. The walls were tall and gray, stretching up into black shadows above. The path ahead split into 3 narrow turns, each leading deeper into the unknown. He stepped forward carefully. Suddenly, a loud beep echoed through the air. The robotic voice returned. Test 5, Memory Maze. Rules. The path changes every minute. Your memory will reset every 3 steps. Survive. He blinked in confusion. What does that mean? He took 3 steps forward. Suddenly, his mind felt heavy. A sharp pain hit his head like a wave. He stopped. Wait. Where am I? He looked around. He had no idea which way he came from. Every wall looked the same. Every turn was a mirror of the last. Panic started to rise, but then he looked down. There was a small mark on the floor, a scratch, like someone had drawn a tiny X with a sharp object. He smiled. I must have made that mark myself. He took out a small piece of metal from his pocket, something he had picked up earlier. He scratched another X on the floor before moving forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Again his memory reset. He blinked. Where am I? Then he saw the mark on the ground. Right. I've been here. Slowly. He started to understand the trick. He couldn't stop the memory loss, but he could leave clues for himself. The maze grew more complex. Some paths were blocked by sliding walls. Others looped back to the start. But every time he woke up confused, he found another one of his marks on a wall, on the floor, on a corner. Still, it wasn't easy. Once, he took a wrong turn and ended up in a trap room. Gas filled the air. He coughed and ran back, heart pounding. Next time, he marked that path with a large X and the word no using black oil from a pipe. 3 steps later his mind reset again. What's this writing? Oh, I must have left it for me. He trusted it. He turned around, and he moved forward. Hours passed, or at least it felt like it. There was no clock, no sun, no sound, just cold air and hard walls. The AI spoke again. You are not meant to pass this test. Memory is your weakness. He replied out loud, but creativity is my strength. He began using his body to remember. He tied a cloth to his arm to know which direction he was turning. He hummed a tune and clapped his hands. To count steps, he bit his finger gently to stay focused, and most of all he trusted the marks he left behind. At one point, he faced a dead end. A small speaker on the wall said, "Give up. This maze has no finish line." He smiled. "Then I'll make one." He used a broken pipe to bash the wall. It cracked slightly again, and again. He broke a small hole and peeked. Through there was light on the other side. He pushed harder. The wall collapsed. He fell into a glowing chamber. He had escaped the memory maze. The voice returned, this time not robotic, but almost nervous. Subject shows high adaptability. Intelligence is rising beyond projections. He should not be able to overcome memory resets. He stood up, panting, tired, hungry, but smiling. He looked up at the camera. "I'm human," he said. "We remember, not just with our minds, but with our hearts, our bodies, our actions." In the alien control room, one observer whispered through static thought waves. "He is not like the others. He doesn't break. He builds. He creates paths, even when none exists. If he passes the final test, the simulation will collapse." Back in the glowing chamber, a new doorway opened. Soft blue light poured in. The man walked toward it, rubbing his sore arms. He had no weapons, no food, no team, but he had something stronger, a will that refused to quit. And now, he knew these weren't just random tests. Someone, or something, was watching, studying, fearing him. He whispered to himself, "I'm close, I can feel it." And, with that, he stepped into the light ready for whatever waited next. The man stepped into the new chamber. The door behind him closed with a soft hiss. This room was different. No traps, no puzzles, no alarms. It was quiet, almost peaceful. In the center stood a large circular platform with a single chair. Around the walls, hundreds of screens glowed in the dark. Each screen showed a different person, crying, running, failing, screaming. The man stepped closer and gasped. All the faces were human. Men, women, young and old, all caught inside strange simulations. Some begged for help. Some had already fallen to their knees. "These were the others," he whispered. "Other test subjects." He stared at one screen. A young woman clutched her chest and collapsed. The screen turned black. He looked away, heart heavy. Suddenly a voice filled the room, but this time, it wasn't robotic. It was calm, and very much alive. You weren't supposed to make it this far. The man turned fast. A tall, glowing figure appeared at the far end of the room. Not a machine, not a soldier, something else. It had no mouth, no eyes, just a smooth silver face and long arms. A blue light pulsed from its chest. The figure walked closer, silent and slow. "I've been watching you," it said, "since the beginning." The man narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" "I am the observer. I control the simulation. I decide who passes and who dies." The man clenched his fists. "Then, why are you talking to me now?" The observer tilted its head. "Because you're different. You weren't chosen because you're the best human. You were chosen because you were average, a simple man, easy to break. But you surprised us." The man stepped forward. "I'm still human, that's why." The observer nodded slowly. "Emotions, imagination, instinct. We don't understand those things. We created the simulation to test and destroy what we feared, but you confused us." The man looked around at the screens. "All those people. You killed them." "No," said the observer. "They failed. You didn't." The man's voice rose. "You forced them into this. You watched them suffer. What kind of test is this?" The observer's light flickered. "One that was never meant to be fair." The man paused. He looked down at the platform. Small lights blinked on its surface. A thought came to him. This must be the control center. He looked back at the observer. "What happens if I win?" he asked. "You leave," the observer said simply. "Earth is spared. The simulation ends. But if you try to destroy this place, we will stop you." The man took a deep breath. He walked to the chair and sat down. His fingers touched the control panel. The observer didn't move. "Do not do this. Your species is dangerous. You evolve through chaos. We survive," the man said. "That's what we do. You made a mistake bringing me here." He pressed a button. A large screen lit up with alien symbols. A countdown started. "Warning, core access unlocked." The observer stepped forward. "This is your final chance. Walk away. You've already won." The man looked up. "I'm not just here to win. I'm here to shut you down." He typed quickly. Alarms began to sound in the alien command station far above. Panic spread. "He's in the system. Shut down his access. He's rewriting our code." "How?" The observer's light turned red. It raised one hand. "I will stop you myself." But the man was faster. He grabbed a metal rod from beside the chair and swung hard, smashing the console behind him. Sparks flew. The room shook. The screens around the walls began to shut off one by one. The observer screamed, not in sound, but in light. Its body glitched and flickered. "You don't understand what you've done." The man stood firm. "I've done what humans always do. Adapt, resist, survive." A new door opened. This one was different. No lights, no machines. Just fresh air, blue sky, green hills, and sunlight, real sunlight. The man smiled. He walked through. Behind him, the simulation collapsed. The observer's voice faded into nothing. Above the planet, the alien council sat in silence. One of them finally said, "It's over." He beat the impossible. Another answered, "No." He redefined it. The man stepped into the sunlight. Real air touched his face. The wind felt soft. The sky above was a calm blue. For the first time in what felt like forever, he was outside the simulation. But something didn't feel right. He turned around. The door he had come through was gone. And then, the sky glitched. The trees shimmered. The ground flickered suddenly. The peaceful world broke like glass. Everything disappeared. He was back inside a cold, black chamber. Steel walls, red lights flashing. The robotic voice returned louder, deeper, and broken. Error. Code red. Subject escaped core path. Rewriting reality. A new alarm rang through the air. Code red rewritten termination protocol engaged. The man looked around. The simulation had changed. Now it was unstable. Broken pieces of past tests surrounded him, mirror shards from the clone room, broken tiles from the logic puzzle, smoke from the war zone. He was standing in the middle of a collapsing world. The voice continued. You were never meant to survive. You were meant to obey. You were meant to break. The man smiled. Then rewrite your code. Because I'm not stopping. A massive machine dropped from the ceiling 20 feet tall, with spinning arms and glowing red eyes. It was the final defense system, built not to test, but to destroy. Target, human threat level, unknown. The man ran. The machine followed, crushing walls and smashing everything in its path. But the man wasn't just running, he was thinking. He dove behind a broken control panel and grabbed a wire. He connected it to a sparking circuit. The wall screen lit up. Lines of alien code filled the display. If I can get into the core again, I can finish this. He typed fast, using what little he had learned from the observer's control room. His fingers moved with instinct. He wasn't a hacker. He wasn't a soldier. He was just a man who had faced fear, pain, and lies and refused to quit. The machine roared. A laser shot past his shoulder. He didn't stop typing suddenly. The system asked, "Enter, final command." He paused, then typed, "Humanity equals survive." He hit enter. The entire simulation began to shake. Bright white light exploded from the ceiling. The walls melted. The machine paused mid-step. Unrecognized command. Processing. Code rewrite in progress. The man stood up. The machine took one last swing, too slow. It shut down mid-air. Its parts fell to the floor with a loud crash. All around him, the simulation turned white again, but not cold. Lifeless white dot. It was light, warm, gentle. A voice spoke, not robotic this time, not alien. Soft, calm. The system has been rewritten. The test is over. The man took a deep breath. Is it real this time? A doorway appeared again, but this one wasn't forced. It was natural, clean, peaceful. You rewrote the simulation's core using one thing we never understood, said the voice. Belief. He walked through the door. This time, there was no glitch, no reset, no trick. He stepped into a real-world and alien ship orbiting Earth. The ship's systems were shutting down. Windows opened. He saw the blue planet below, beautiful, alive, safe. He did it, whispered one alien commander. He survived, and he rewrote the rules. Another answered, we tested him with fear, lies, war, and memory loss. He used hope, kindness, and creativity. That is why we lost. The man stood tall in the control chamber. His body was tired. His face was dirty, but his eyes were strong. He had passed the impossible test, not by force, not by code, but by being human, back on Earth. The skies cleared. The danger was gone. No one knew what he had done. No one saw his fight, but the stars remembered. The aliens remembered. And somewhere in the universe, a new record was written. Human, the species that survived the impossible. Hi. This story is made by a human just for fun. It's not real. All the characters and events are made up. Thanks for watching.